Hello guys, welcome back to another 360 virtual reality video. Today we're in the front garden. If you look around you can have a look, see what it's like out here. Lovely day today. Even managed to do a little bit of sunbathing, but I'm going to stay in this side of the camera to talk in this vlog. And it's about my recent experience with virtual reality gaming. I went round to visit Dave. I'm a game geek. He's got a great channel on here, fantastic fella. If you don't know about him already, go and check his channel out below. But Dave has the best game room setup I've ever seen. I went there last year and did a video on it. He's improved it a lot since then. He's added the virtual reality. He's got PlayStation VR and Oculus Rift with the touch controllers. If you know anything about Oculus Rift, the touch controllers add so much. These motion controllers that are custom made, very ergonomic, very responsive, and they give you extra points of reference in the game world. Both systems do that. Of course, the PlayStation VR has the Move controllers, but that's old technology, slightly less responsive. It relies on older tech, but both of those control methods work wonders. In the sense that, yeah, when it gives you those extra 2 points of reference in the game, when it gives you the physical representation of your hands in the game, and you can see your arms moving around and being able to interact with things very intuitively, it helps a lot to ground you in those game worlds. And that's something that I was really impressed with on both systems, is the ability for them to really make you feel like you're there. So the controllers help do that. What also helps do that is the tracking. Now, I think a lot of developers have already cottoned on to the best ways to make you feel immersed in these games, and seems to be at least, uh, it works best when you have direct correlation between your physical movements in the real world and your movements in the game world. So, to that end, a lot of the games seem to be using a teleporting way of moving around. What this does is it stops you get a sense of unnatural movement, because if you're moving around a game world but you're not moving around in the same way in real life, you can feel disconnected a little bit. This doesn't tend to happen in cockpit games though. Racers, space shooters, anything where you have a frame around you, that prevents you from feeling disconnected when you're moving around, because just like in a real car, you wouldn't get the same types of input, the same type of feedback when you're surrounded by, the casing of a car or a spaceship. So that can feel natural. But when you're just out there in the open as a character, a person, so to speak, it helps to have this teleportation. But yeah, so the feeling of immersion works best when you have this direct correlation between your physical movements in reality and the physical movements in the game. And some of the games that I played did that brilliantly. The first thing that I played was the Heist on PSVR. This is fantastic. It's a really cool little game. It's like, most of these experiences are quite short, understandably, because this is new technology. Not many people have it. Developers don't want to pour millions into games yet when there's not a proven market for it. It's that eternal catch-22 situation, of course. But yeah, the Heist, as short as it is brilliant, because it gives you that tracking in a fixed position. So you're seated for most of these scenes in the Heist. You're seated, but you can, it's got tracking to move your body around, and that really helps. Because of course, when you watch the 360 videos, you can move your head around, but of course, there's no x-axis or y-axis, whatever it is. You can't go forward and back, basically, of course, because it's on your video. But in the game world, you have that ability, and that adds to the immersion. It also lets you just dick about with various objects that are in front of you. So, for example, in one scene, there's a cigar and a lighter on the table, and you can play with them and use your imagination, what can be done. But it's nice to have those little things to do whilst these narratives are playing out in front of you. But the Heist was fantastic. Yeah, the frame rate was really high, and you can tell that you need that. You do need a high frame rate for these games to feel solid, But certain things work really well in VR. Shooting, oh my god, shooting works so well in VR because, of course, you hold out your Move controller or your touch controller. Again, the touch works slightly better, but they both work really well. and you're just shooting and aiming and shooting exactly as you would in the real world. Maybe the aiming's a little bit more forgiving than reality is, but you're aiming and shooting. That's it. And the 3D works fantastic. The aiming feels natural. It's fantastic, and I just can't wait to see more stuff come out for that system. I am still going to wait though, um, just until the system comes down in price a little bit, and until I'd like there to be a little bit of a larger game library to choose from when I do delve in. Not that there's a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff out there already, but most of it is quite short experiences, like I said. So the heist. What did I play next after that? Battlezone on PSVR was brilliant, and again, you are moving around freely, so that's an added extra to your experience over the heist, which is stationary. In Battlezone, you're moving around freely, but again, you're in this tank. You've got this frame of the tank around you, so it doesn't feel disorientating. I didn't feel motion sickness from the dedicated VR games at all, the ones that I've tried yet. Anyway, I'm not saying there's some out there that might make me feel bad, but the dedicated VR games, not a problem at all. So Battlezone was fantastic. The immersion, the sense of scale, it's something else. It really is. I think once anybody tries these games in the right conditions, I think a lot of people are going to be sold on this stuff. I really hope it goes from strength to strength. I think VR is a fad that has, not a fad, no, sorry. I think VR is a niche that has legs. I think it can persist. I don't think it's just going to be just a fad in the sense that it comes and it goes, because this technology is so compelling and there's so much potential there for it. And again, this is only the first wave of tech. So you can imagine how the second and third generation of this stuff's going to be. Hopefully we're going to go wireless. Graphical fidelity is going to improve, resolution is going to improve, tracking is going to improve. It's already brilliant, but if they can keep improving it, it's going to be ridiculous. I mean, this is some holodeck shit. I urge you to have a go, anybody, if you can. Have a go on PSVR or the Rift or whatever platform suits you. But so Battlezone was fantastic. Then I went on to the Oculus Rift, and Dave, like I said, has the touch controllers, and these things are fantastic. And I use those to play a game called Robo Recall. It's another shooter. It's like a shooting gallery. Again, you're teleporting to different locations, and then once you're in those locations, you're kind of stationary. You can move around freely in like a 1 or 2 meter square radius, and that works fantastic. Again, because you're kind of stationary between teleports, but whilst you're stationary, like I said, your movements are directly correlating in the game. So much so that when bullets are coming in, I was moving my elbow out of the way to avoid bullets. That's how immersed you are. That's how much you believe you're in this game world. I'm moving my elbow instinctively out of the way of bullets. There's no sensor on my elbow. It's ridiculous. But you still try and get out of the way, and Dave was pissing himself. I was making all these strange shapes trying to dodge bullets. But Robo Recall is fantastic. That's an Oculus Rift exclusive. I can't see that coming to the PSVR because there's a lot of money being put into that game specifically to make it a Rift exclusive. But anything like that, you've got Until Dawn, which is another kind of shooting gallery game. Those games work so well. Oh, Robo Recall was fantastic. Differences between the two headsets? Yeah, on the Oculus Rift, you can certainly tell there's a higher resolution. It is crisper, but the screen door effect is more noticeable. So that's as a consequence of the type of screen you're watching. There's always going to be some kind of artifact of the method of viewing, because your eyes are so close up to these screens, that there's going to be something like that happening. All these systems have a certain type of screen door effect. The PSVR's is actually less pronounced. The pixels seem to feel better, so there's certainly less screen door effect, less of a mesh. If you can imagine, you're kind of looking for this on the Rift. It's kind of like looking through a sort of a mesh, but very fine, and you only notice it at certain times. And in the heat of the moment in these games, especially in well lit areas, you don't notice it. You forget about it completely because you're so engrossed in the experience, and it does such a good job of putting you in this world. But when you look for it, you can see it. But it doesn't matter. You forgive it that. You completely forgive it that because it does so well. It does such a good job of immersing you in these worlds. Like I said, with the depth perception of the 3D graphics, the tracking, the controllers, everything else. So it didn't bother me in the slightest. But I'd say the PSVR is noticeably a lower resolution. I was playing on an original PS4. I've heard some games have been improved to run the PS4 Pro. Let's hope that continues as a trend, because it'd be nice to see that newer system be squeezed for all its worth on the PSVR. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. I just hope it really goes. It's like you said, it's that kind of catch-22 situation. You know, developers won't want to plough big money into making full-length games for the system unless there's an install base there to buy the games. And conversely, people en masse aren't going to be convinced to buy the system unless there's a compelling game to play. So it's that eternal catch-22 that we're well aware of in the game industry. But I hope that something can come of it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm still going to hold off for a bit yet. I left Dave's thinking, I'm getting one today. I am getting one today. But being realistic, I've got a hell of a lot of games to get through first before I want to jump on these new systems. So that's kind of how I'm going to try and do it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed joining me in the garden here. And yeah, if you watch it on a phone, awesome, looks cool. But come back and watch it in a VR headset and see how that feels. Alright guys, that's it for now. I'm going to go to the app and turn this video off. Okay, bye-bye.